Welcome to Attican Plays Railway Empire. Alright, hi, this is Attican and welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Railway Empire by Request. Now the first by request I did was Gone with the Headwind because I had a bunch of people in comments ask me to revisit Gone with the Headwind. Gone with the Headwind. And we did that one. And recently I put out a poll to see what you guys might like to see next. And the big winner was definitely the grow a city to a population of 1 million. So that's what we're going to do here. But I thought that would be a little boring to just do that. I mean, we could do it in Sandbox and Yawn. But I thought we would do it in the context of a free mode game. So we're in the East, in the Americas in the East. And we are in Toledo. Where else would we be? And we're set in 1850. So this is the 1850 to 1870 time period. And I just had the free mode generate a set of tasks for us, a scenario. And the only thing I did reject a couple because they had take so many passengers somewhere. And we know that right now that's a little challenging in the game. So I don't mean challenging as in difficult as a player. I mean, they're not counting them correctly. So here's the task that is generated for us. And by the way, we're going to go through this. This video is me talking. If you have a short attention span, you're probably already gone. If not, you might as well leave now because you will be asleep unless you need a nap. If you need a nap, stay with us and you can have a nice nap. But we're going to talk through this one and build a pretty detailed plan for how we're going to do this. Because here's our deal. We're going to get all gold ticks on all these tasks. And we're going to grow a city to 1 million. Now, I'm going to try my best. We will try to build that city. And that city, by the way, will be Toledo. More than likely. It could be more than one. Yeah, right. But we're going to try to finish it before we've even finished these tasks on gold. That's going to be tough because that means we're going to have to have it done by 1860, and that's pretty fast. We'll see. But if we can't get it done beforehand, that's okay because it's going to be one of those tasks where we'll get everything gold and then we'll continue playing after the scenario is officially over, and then we'll just get the growth done until we have it to 1 million. So that's the general idea. Now, these tasks are some passenger revenue. It's a small amount. Quarterly revenue shouldn't be difficult. Of course, we're going to deploy 16 trains. Not a problem. Freight revenue, I'll show you how this is not going to be a problem. Attraction Indy means we have to grow Indianapolis to at least 60,000 so they can build the attraction. Quarterly revenue from mail means we're going to have some good passenger mail lines set up, probably prioritizing mail, and we'll talk about that. Connect 9 cities should not be an issue. It goes right along with this one. This one here, the transporting mail. The 25 rural businesses will not be an issue at all. By the way, when it says that, it doesn't mean that they have to be directly connected to Toledo. It means they have to be connected to the network, which is also connected to Toledo. So 25 rural businesses in our total network. We're going to be doing a heavy-duty city growth. You'll see in a minute, and that will not be a problem. We always have a lot of profitable trains. That will not be a problem. Corn to Albany is interesting because we're way over in Toledo, which means we have to expand way over to Albany, which is the far opposite end of the map, and deliver some corn. Shouldn't be a big deal, but we'll have to keep that in mind. And then this last one, Express Connection Toledo and Jacksonville. For those of you who aren't familiar with the map, we're up here, and Jacksonville's all the way down here, and you can see we have an opponent down there right now. So I'm thinking that's probably the last thing we'll set up, and that'll be probably after we wipe out an opponent or two. Okay, so let's look at our tasks in terms of what we really want to do. What we really want to do is stay gold, which means that in our first year we've got to get that quarterly revenue. I do not see it as a problem. We need the trains, not a problem in 2 years. Freight revenue, not a problem the way we're going to do it. attraction, we have to grow Indianapolis. The mail will expand out to get that and to connect to the cities. The businesses will not be a problem the way we're going to do it, and I'll get to that in a minute. A lot of trains making money, of course, that's what we do. And then these two are going to be kind of expansions a little bit later on. Fortunately, they're down the road a bit, but we have to move quickly. We only got like 8 years to get out there to that corn and start getting stuff to Albany. So that's that side of it. But what are we going to do to actually get this done? Well, first of all, we're going to be the industrialists. We are Roger. That means that we can place industries, we can buy industries in cities without auctions. Lovely, beautiful city growth player. We're going to focus on city growth. We're going to set up a 3 and then a 4, and eventually expand to a 4-city cluster: Toledo, Grand Rapids, Indianapolis, and Louisville. Now, Indianapolis we know has to be in there because it is the early attraction requirement there. So we're going to have to grow this one. Now, we've got meat, we've got beer here, so we're going to need to we want to first get a beer meat line going, so we're making some money, getting some growth, and then we're going to want to get this line going, Grand Rapids to Indianapolis, so that we can have beer coming to Indianapolis to help it grow. And the interesting thing is, even though our overall target is to grow Toledo as quickly as we can, and we will, we probably are going to want to put raw materials into Indianapolis, if anything, even before Toledo, to make sure it grows and we get it up to 60,000 quickly. So back to our plan. So that's and then we'll add Louisville later, and I'll explain what. Now, why do we want a 4-city cluster? Because if we look at the goods in this supply chain, there are 12 of these. Now, the leather comes along as a byproduct with the meat. So you can make 12 manufactured goods. You only need 11 industries, but we only have 3 slots in the city. So if we want all the stuff, which we would kind of like to have ideally, then we're going to need 4 cities grown to a good size. So what we're going to target is actually $1 million for at least one of our cities. I keep saying at least like that's possible. Well, $1 million for one of our cities, and at least 120,000 for the others in the cluster, so that they're big enough that we can have level 5 industries in there and be able to create enough to feed themselves and export some to the other cities, particularly to Toledo, the one we're targeting to grow big time. Okay? And then here's all the raw materials that are in this supply chain. Some of them you need right away. Some of them you need at certain population points. And then some of them you need just because you have the industry in your city that requires it. And I'll walk you through this in a minute. It's kind of interesting. So what are we going to do? We have competition. So let's take a quick look. We have down here, thankfully we've got the sound turned off. We have the lady down here. She's always tough. We know how strong she is. She's prints money with her passenger lines. So she's going to start in Atlanta. You can see she's running down here to Jacksonville. She will be tough. What do we got over here in the middle? We've got who's this? Trixie. Now Trixie's kind of a weak sister, but she'll play similarly to the rest of them. They all kind of start from their base. Hers is Norfolk. They always connect to the nearby city. She bypassed Washington and went to Baltimore, and she started running. And then they start running raw materials. So she started running corn, and we'll see the same thing here. You see, who's this? This is Don Lorenzo. Don Lorenzo tends to be tough too, and very aggressive. So New York, he ran to Baltimore, or see, did he start? Yeah, he started in New York, I suspect. He ran to Baltimore, and then got that line, and then he set up. He's got vegetables and grain, grain and milk that he can take. So he's got a pretty strong setup there. Kind of typical. I mean, that's typically how they start. Well, here's what we're going to do to eliminate them. We could take one of two basic tactics. One would be to just do like rapid expansion We could even do a true land grab, sort of a fine root land grab, and just really expand big time right off the bat and cut them off from cities. We're not going to do that because we're going to overwhelm them with growth. In other words, we're just going to grow so fast. Typically what I find when I'm playing with three very hard competitors, I tend to grow roughly twice as fast as a very hard competitor can grow. So that being said, we're just going to overwhelm them with growth, get a strong economic engine going from that city growth. And then later we're going to go out and expand passenger lines, because remember we have this task to do all this mail and connect cities. So what we'll do is, once we get our cluster kind of going here and we've got some money coming in and it's a good moment to do it, we will start running stations out and blocking. Like we'll go to Pittsburgh, we'll go to Buffalo, we'll go to Syracuse, we'll go to Albany if we can. We'll go down south to Knoxville, we'll go down to maybe Montgomery, Atlanta, Augusta, whatever we'll do. We'll see what the situation looks like at that point. It'll depend a lot on how much they have bumped into each other, how much they've expanded. But we will set up passenger mail lines all over the place, prioritizing mail so that we can get that mail task done. So that's how we're going to deal with the competition. We're just going to blow them out of the water. Okay. Then we've got to have a quarterly freight goal, and that should not be an issue with the way we're going to grow and the way we're going to be pumping freight everywhere. The attraction in Indianapolis says Indy needs to be thought of early, which we've already covered. We talked about these two, and the rural businesses, why we talked about all this stuff. So let's go back to the plan. Okay. Now, are we going to have dedicated passenger track inside the cluster? No. We're going to run automatics because we want to be able to move goods city to city. Outside our cluster, yes, we can do dedicated passenger lines, and that'll make it easy for us later on to upgrade our passenger mail lines with better passenger trains and that kind of stuff. The special cars on our passenger lines, yes. City to city, nope. And freight, most freight coming to our cluster, no, because we're going to be coming to warehouses. And freight out there, if we just randomly throw down a sugar line to Jacksonville or something, then yes, we'll put we can go ahead and get more money out of that. I'm going to use regular stations all the way through this because I'm going to play this the way I like to play. I need to control everything. I need to see what's going on with every line, and the most visibility I can get for that is to have regular train stations. Plus, they're cheaper to build at the beginning, and that's what we're going to do, is just use regular train stations everywhere. The warehouse usage, we will be putting raw materials in warehouses, and we're going to run direct lines to the warehouses. So we're going to have wheat or grain that goes to different warehouses to connect to different cities. We're not going to shuttle between the warehouses. And our manufactured goods, no, they're going to be city to city lines. And where we're going to put the manufacturing stuff, based on the cluster design. The principle is in your cluster, little to no redundancy of manufactured goods, and that's what we'll have, so that we can have as many of these 11 industries as we can get built into our cluster. And what else? Oh, repairs. Oh, this one's kind of interesting. Everywhere. Now, you could argue, well, why would you put, for example, imagine there's a warehouse right here, and we've got corn running to that warehouse. Well, the way I'm going to do it, it's going to have a dedicated line running corn to a platform in that warehouse. So to me, it doesn't matter if I get my repair here or I get my repair here. My total line is being held up at one end or the other. So we're going to put repairs everywhere. Now, if we were running a little different model where we had, say, signaling control here, and we could have a bunch of corn trains coming in here, and maybe 3 of them happen to hit and they're all getting repaired, and all our other lines are being held up by that, then we would not want repairs on that. But in the case, the way we're going to do it with dedicated lines, I think it makes perfect sense to have repairs everywhere and spread the pain as much as possible. What else is there? Oh, and business ownership, we will not own the rural station. We're not going to own the corn. We're not going to own the logs or this, because that's one more thing we would have to manage. It's more money we would need to invest to update or upgrade those as we go. And the computer typically does a good job of recognizing when to level up based on demand and supply. In other words, your ability to ship it somewhere, and demand, how much is actually needed. And so we'll let the computer manage that for us. In the industries, though, those in the cluster, yes, we absolutely want to own them, because it's money, and we want to control them. We want to level them up based on the ultimate goal of Toledo, not so much just what's going on elsewhere. So what else is there to say? Okay. Raw materials. When we target a city other than Toledo, so that would be Grand Rapids, Indianapolis, Louisville, we're going to target one per week of supply. So we can just use our rule of 50 to figure out what one per week is. And what I mean by that is, say you had a line going into Indianapolis hauling corn, and that line took 100 days to do its route. You divide it by 50, that means you need 2 trains to average one per week of supply into that city. So that's kind of the rule of 50 we'll follow for most of our stuff. But in Toledo, because we're going to want it to grow more and more and more, and the demand's going to go up and up and up to ridiculous amounts, we're going to go with 100% line utilization. So what we'll start with, so again, here, imagine we've got corn going to this, and we've got a dedicated line hauling corn to a warehouse. We're going to start out at 1. We're just going to run some corn because we're going to have limited funds, and we don't want to spend all our money on trains that aren't doing anything. But eventually what we're going to do, once we start having a little bit of money, we're going to turn back around and we're going to look at that line of corn, and we're going to look at the utilization of that line in the warehouse. And we're going to keep adding trains until we've got that bumped up to 100% utilization, maybe even a little more, because we want a constant flow of corn going in there. Because trust me, when this thing starts growing, gets up 4, 5, 6, 700,000, it's going to be consuming everything we can send it at a staggering pace. So we're going to want to get as much in there as we can. So that's going to be our initial goal, is to get that 100% utilization on all those lines coming into Toledo, particularly, all the raw material lines. And then our industries, same thing, raw materials going into an industry, we want to grow them to the point, or grow the supply capability, our delivery capability, to the point where at 100% line utilization there. So if we have cattle going into Toledo, and maybe it's going into a city station, maybe it's going into a warehouse, it doesn't matter. We're going to look at the line, the track that is, say a city station. We're going to look at that utilization. We're going to drive that up to 100% so that we're driving cattle in there as fast as we can go. That's how we're going to manage that. And then as we get toward the end, and then Toledo gets very large, then we'll look at it and see if we have to make adjustments, like, maybe we can't keep up with that. Maybe that's not fast enough. We may have to add a warehouse that actually takes in more cattle, so we have another way to get cattle in. Same thing with maybe cotton coming in. We may need more cotton. We may need another way to get it in. It may be that way with corn. We may have to put a second warehouse with another dedicated line running more corn into Toledo. We'll see. We'll adjust to that when we get to it. But for now, the plan is to get at 100% utilization. Should give us good flow of goods. All right, so let's take a look at one last thing, and I promise this will be the last big topic we discuss before we start playing. Let's look at the city growth and how we need to think about it, and how we need to, where our focus needs to be to make sure we maintain city growth. If we look at this, we've got 12 manufactured goods in our supply chain that a city, once it gets to a decent size, is going to want to have. So there's 12 things that are going to show up when you look over here and you look at a city and you look at your city's demands for goods. there's going to be 12, if we go down through this whole thing, there's going to be 12 manufactured goods that are going to eventually have a weekly demand attached to them, like that. And they'll go all the way down here. There'll be a weekly demand for even these things down here. Now, on top of that, there will be a weekly demand for 8 of these products as they grow, right up to salt at 90,000. I just can't stand this, sorry. I gotta fix this formatting right here. I can't stand looking at that, it's driving me crazy. There, that's better. Okay. So at 90,000 we get salt. So once you hit 90,000, there's going to be 8 of these goods. Oh, this is supposed to be, oh, well, that's all right. Okay, 8 of these goods that you're always going to want, and then you're going to want others depending on what industry you have in your city. So if we look at the total goods and raw materials, there's 12 here plus 8's 20. Plus, if we look at this as Toledo, there's 20 plus it's going to want cattle, that's 21, and cotton, 22, and it's already getting logs. So there's going to be 22 total goods that it's going to have a demand for. So when we, again, when we look at this list right here, 22 of these things are going to have a weekly demand amount. And that means that to get city growth, we need to get, over 60% of those goods in there. Well, if we just furnish Toledo with the raw that it needs, the 8, plus the 2 would be 10, plus 4 that are over here, we're actually giving it 14 of the goods that it needs. And you can see that if we are providing Toledo with all the raw materials that it needs, basics plus the 2, the cattle and the cotton in addition, we're actually giving it 14 out of the 22 things that it would want in total, just by giving it the raw plus the, let me see if I got that right, 8, 9, 10 plus 4, yes. We're giving it 14 out of the 22. So the 8 that it's not getting would be the ones that are coming out here from other cities. So we could actually maintain small city growth just by providing Toledo with all the goods that it needs. Now, every time that we get goods from another city, like we get clothing, we get alcohol or cheese or paper or whatever, then that growth rate goes up. So there's 2 things here. One is it tells us let's be really dogged in getting raw materials to our cities, including the ones they need for the plants, the manufacturing they happen to have. And let's do that for all the other cities. And we need to grow. The reason we need to grow the other cities like Grand Rapids, Indianapolis, and Louisville in terms of growing Toledo is because we want to be able to build a big enough factory so that we can have plenty of export goods that we can also take to the other cities, but especially to Toledo, to bump this number up and make Toledo grow at a faster rate. So that just says we're going to focus on raw materials. That's the main thing. Get your raw materials and you'll get good city growth, and then get all your city lines going and you'll get great city growth. So that's going to be our plan. So that's enough. I think we're ready to get started playing. So what I'm going to do is reload the scenario so we can start at the beginning and not whatever date it is now. What is it? We're already in April of 1851. I've talked through over a year, typical. And I'm going to reload this and we'll get started. All right, so after all that planning, now we're ready to finally start playing the game. So we're going to start, as I said, we're going to use regular stations. We're going to put a train station. Now, I have a big question here. Which way am I going to turn this? I think, yeah, we're going to turn it this way, build this side of it, so to speak, first, because I'm seeing this being our first 2 city connections plus these 2, the cattle and cotton, because right here we have an industry opportunity. We're going to put a brewery over here in Toledo. We're going to put it on this side because it opens this way. We know if we put it over here, there's enough room to expand. And our next station will go over here and turn this way. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to go up here to train station. And I grabbed that spot because I don't want to lose it. We're going to go up here to Grand Rapids and put in a station that actually opens the other way first, because with Grand Rapids I'm seeing the first two are going to be the city to city, then we're going to open it up and put some wood and grain coming in there, because it doesn't have to have that many city to city connections. It only needs, well, it needs 3 total, but it doesn't need as many as Toledo will end up needing, because we're going to run out of Toledo to go to other places. So we can take this first line here and we can go over here to this line in Grand Rapids, and we can connect them up. Then we can double track this like so. Notice the point-to-point connections. I'm going old school here. So that means to run on that line, you can only possibly go into those 2 stations on either ends. We're going to put our supply towers, though, back toward the end so that we can pick them up for other things that will be heading that way. And then we're going to set up a line between here and here. Get a couple going one way and a couple going back the other way. Okay. And then we want to get that beer meat going here at Indianapolis. So let's take the track we didn't use, which would be this one. And then I want to go around that. I want to come down like so. And we're going to come into Indianapolis, and we want to have Indianapolis with a train station, because we got to make a couple of connections. And we'll put it... oh, shoot. Yeah, we'll turn it like this, and then later we'll probably have to redo the connections, because there's going to be other... The way we use the inside too will probably be... Well, who knows? We'll see what happens. Okay. We've got a station there, so we want to... Oh yeah, we've got our line like this, which is a bit of a mess. It's going to come down here, and it's going to connect to that line right there. And we might as well turn it back toward the city. I do want to run it outside. I want to run it outside that. So we can either go in like this, or we can come around like the back side. Which would be better? It kind of doesn't matter. I think this actually gives us more space. We could even pick that up if we wanted to. Would be okay. And I'm running it over here because this cattle's going to want to come here. If I get it over here, then we're going to have to jump over. We don't want any of that kind of stuff. So let's go get some more money. And let's build that track. And let's double track this. Like so. Put in our signals. We already have a tower up at the Grand Rapids end. So let's set up a line to go from here to here. Run a couple of trains that way, and set up one that goes back the other way. Okay. And then to make this a 3-city cluster, these 2 cities are going to need to talk to each other. Do we want them talking now? Yeah, we might as well. So let's take the line that we didn't use, this one, go over here to the line that we didn't use, this one. Kind of point it in the right direction from both ends. That looks good. Then we're going to double track this. And we'll wait a minute and let this run till our trains start landing and we start making a little bit of money. A security guard, I want him. I'm going to hire him, but I'm not going to put him anywhere for a moment. Well, actually, we can put him. Doesn't matter. We'll put him here. We'll put him on this one for now and try to remember. We'll see if I can remember to move him to a better place in a minute. Okay. We're going to want a supply tower at this end and probably one down at this end. Like so. All right, then we're going to want a line running between these two cities. And we'll just spam trains out this end until we have. In fact, we'll just run a couple for now. We got smallish cities, and there's not goods. There's a limited number of passengers, so we'll put one more train on this, and then we'll start putting in. And you notice we're getting growth here in these two. They're getting overland. Toledo gets some of the stuff. Grand Rapids, same thing, gets stuff overland. And so they are growing. That's nice. I'd like to have the dragon, but I don't know if we're going to be able. They're going to bid us. They're going to bid against us, and it's going to be hard to win a bid because right now our money's very slow. Let's hire this guy again. We're not going. Can we bid? No, we lost it. Okay, that's all right. What were we doing? We wanted to get one more train if we ever get any more money. And we really, see now we're getting breakdowns, so we're going to replace all our trains. So we have new trains out there, same thing, new Philadelphias. And see, we've used up our initial monies. So we don't have a great revenue stream right now. We're going to leave that one train as it is. Let's see if we can fix this a little bit. Now what we want to do is start hauling the freight that's going to feed our industries in our cluster. So we know we got cattle coming here. We're going to have textiles coming here. So once we have 40 grand, we'll put in a small station on this cattle. And we're going to need to expand the station. So we're going to need 100,000 to expand the station, and then you know what we might do? No. We'll expand the station for 100,000, and then we'll put 40. We need 140 plus lines, so we need a fair amount of money. Where are we on our money? 239. We might just save up and close a bond. Let's get more passengers. Let's go over here and get this one. Creative accounting, make a little bit more money on our industries, although See, look at this. We're already ready for a museum here, which we'd love to have, but there are things way higher priority than that. And what did we finish? We got our quarterly revenue from passengers in the second quarter, so that's decent. Not awesome, but decent. We're going to expand this. We're going to put a small train station here, and then we're going to set up track that goes down here like this, catches that supply tower, and comes into track. Which track isn't used? Track 3. Like so. I said something about closing the bomb, but it turns out we got enough money to keep moving. And now we have a business opportunity in Grand Rapids. We'd love to have, we may have to just, because of the money situation, we may have to just accept what goes in there, and we could have even possibly had to do that here. We probably should have laid off that one. But I'd love to have, I would love to have a Taylor for $250 right here. That would be awfully sweet. Okay, let's get this line. I'm going to double track it back. I never have luck with headhunters, although our opponents have great luck with headhunters on me. That's a fact. Okay, let's get that double track going. Let's go here and here. Add some Jan Janssens, and let's go set this up. Run full into Toledo. It's going to take 47 days, so that's basically a 1. And we've got a 1 and we've got a factory, so we're going to want to run at least a couple more trains on that. So we'll spam 2 more trains in there. And we're, again, getting breakdowns. We're going to replace all our trains with the Philadelphia, just to reset the maintenance counter, and we'll move to maintenance as soon as we feel like we can. Right now it's too early. We can't afford to do it right now. There we go. There's a second one. And early on, really these passenger-to-passenger lines, we could have considered going more to the freight lines earlier. That wouldn't have been the worst idea in the world, because they tend to run full, and you make 16 grand when they land, versus these little mostly empty passenger line trains, city-to-city trains. But let's fix that a little bit. Let's get more money for our freight. This set of things right here are great. We definitely want that one. And over here, we definitely want this, which gives us cheaper trains. And then we'll go from there. So let's start feeding. We've got a business over here that isn't making any money. Now, has anything gone in here? A cheese. It's a horrible choice. It could be, we can make it work, but it was a very bad choice by the computer. So we'll have to decide to either make it work or tear it down. So we're going to run over here like, no we're not, no we're not. Yeah, we're going to go, take that back. We want to dedicate a line coming out of track 4. We will pick up this supply tower, and then we'll run out like this into here. And there's no reason for this to be anything more than a nice sharp turn in there. There we go. And we'll run it in like this. Like so. Run full into here as soon as we have some money. We can hire him. Not interested in a saboteur. Conductor can go right there. And now, shoot, I lost my line. Set up a line from here, run full, go to here. That's 40, that's basically a 1. Let's give it 2 more trains. We'll bid on the caboose and see if we can win it, just to keep the research advancing. It's actually not that useful right now. We got 2, let's try to get 1 more for now. Okay, so now we should start seeing supplies coming in here, starting making a little bit of money on this textiles, plus its demand satisfaction for Toledo. Okay, now we have to think about where do we want to go next. Like, remember, raw materials, it's all about the raw materials. Now, the other thing we have, by the way, we've got a beer line here that we want to keep, and we want to keep it active, and it's crucial, and we're not giving it any supplies. So we're going to take this station here, and we're going to expand it out. It's going to take 100 grand to expand it. Then we're going to run logs and grain in here. Okay, expand. The log line will come into track 3 and the grain will come to track 4. And the grain's what we want first, but I think to make it work, we're going to want to go like this and like it's really sensitive where that end point is there. Like that, and then we're going to want to come out of track 4 like this. Whoops. Out of track 4, pick up that tower, and then come on over here somewhere. We'll put in a small station as soon as we can here. Now wait, 4 grand. Well, yeah. All right, small station right here. And we're going to run grain. Yes, just like that. Research. Let's do more packages. And I think we're going to have to do another, yeah, we're going to have to replace them all again. And we're going to put in repairs. It's already getting too expensive. We just did a replace all. Really want to get this grain going to Grand Rapids. See, we have no beer to export. And that means we're not getting it sent other places. So let's do this. Let's go here, here. Double track in like so. And set our signals. And then we'll do a line that goes here into here. And I did set it to run full, didn't I? Yes. And they can have a security guard. And that line's that's basically a one line, and that's has a manufacturing. So we want a couple, and I'm going to give it even another one because this is grain, and grain and wood typically have a slightly higher demand than the others. At least that was the way it was in Germany. I can't swear that's the way it is here. All right, so now we've got grain coming in there. That means we're going to be having grain coming in here plus the beer. The beer can go to the other cities, which will help the other cities as well. So that was a good thing. And now I think let's put in some repairs. Let's go here. We'll go to our cities first because we don't have that much traffic flow. It's not like we've got massive amounts of trains coming in and out of these cities. So a delay for a repair is not going to hurt anybody. And right now everything goes to one of these three cities. In fact, this one we could even skip it if we wanted to, but let's give it repairs so that we spread the pain. There we go. So we got the three cities. Later, when we have some money, we'll start putting repairs out on the other stations, particularly as we start seeing more volume of stuff. Surveyor, tunnels, I don't really care. Inventor would like to have. Auctioneer, no. Here we go. Here's museum trains. Okay. That'll help us when we start upgrading our trains. And we can get here and get more passengers. That would be good. All right, we need, okay. Now we need to think about, let's look at our task list. We've got to bump up our freight, and we got to grow Indianapolis. So that makes that pretty easy. Let's put a warehouse on Indianapolis, and let's start running goods that Indy needs. Now, the other problem is Indy has this. If we could buy that meat, knock it down, and put in clothing, then we would automatically be supplying it with what it needs from Toledo. I really wanted the clothing up here. That's how I saw it happening, but that's not what happened. So let's see, what would it take to buy this? We'd take $245, knocking it down. We need about 600 grand to make this move. But I would like to make this move, and we can get 400. That would give us enough. Why don't we do this? Let's run this until we can pay off a bond. Then we can open a bond without having quite so much debt. Let's save up till we have about 200,000, then we're going to open up a bond. Then we're going to buy this meat, knock it down, put in a clothing, which will actually help Indianapolis because the textiles coming from here can start feeding it what it needs. Whereas right now, if we look at its growth, see it, I'd like to have that. I'd like to have that, Beatrix. Okay, good. Look at its growth. See, it's not getting cattle, it's not getting meat. It should be, at some point, getting... Do we just have the one train on this? That's right. Let's put at least one more on there. And we'll add more as once we get this done. So, got a couple 100,000 almost. So if we were to open on, we get 500. All right, we're going to wait just a little bit more and close that other bond and open 2 bigger ones. But we're not going to wait on that. We've got a connection bonus. Line that isn't used too much. We can just use track 1. Okay. Let's go over here and get that, grab that connection bonus for sure. We'll run it into track 1 like this. And it's kind of easy money. So we'll give it a little supply tower and we'll set up a line here that runs full into here. And this one, we can give it the rail car because it's just such a short little single line. It'll make more money that way and it'll do great. So now we want to go over here, slow down, close out that bond, and we want to open 2 bigger bonds so we can make a nice move on Indianapolis. So now we got some money to play with. So now we're going to buy this industry, knock it down, replace it with a Taylor, and we can put it out here because this is opening this way. Okay, so now we have a Taylor. That Taylor will start getting, we'll send out the call that we need more goods here, and we're going to put another couple of trains on this. Make sure we have enough capacity to move that stuff. And here we've got, see, we've got a little bit to, we'll throw it in the museum while we have some money too. So we'll put the museum in Toledo to help keep it growing. And now we really want to grow this city here. See, it's close, but no cigar. All right, Grand Rapids is growing. Oh, wow. Let's give it a museum too. Why not? Opens that way out there. Okay, we'll give them a museum. Okay. So the 2 we aren't trying to grow are growing. The one we're trying to grow isn't growing, but we'll fix that. We'll fix that. Now question, do we need, right off the bat, must we have a warehouse? Because if we expand this, we'll get 2 tracks. We could, at a minimum, we could run grain over like this and in, and then, oh, we never did even do wood, did we? And then do wood over like in that same line and have wood and grain coming down here to Indianapolis into that station. Leave more room for a warehouse to take in some other goods. Okay. How do I want to do that? Oh yeah, we want to expand this station. So we need 100,000 for that. This is going to be expensive to get started. I'll tell you what we might do. We're going to need 100. Where are we? 1851. 1858. How long do we have on that? We got. What date did I say it was? October 1851. So we've got a little over 2 years to grow that. and it's on the verge of growing now. Yeah, I think what I want to do next actually is put the wood. The wood will be cheaper to set up, and we'll immediately start making some money. So let's put. Okay, let's plug in this this logs. The reason I'm doing this first is this can start making a profit with a cheaper setup. The next setup we do, getting to Indianapolis, is going to cost a fair penny. Let's see here. We can start getting some of this freight revenue coming in, and it's stuff we need anyway for these cities. So we will set up a line from here, running full to here. That makes it track 1. And we will give it a train. Oh, and you can have a security guard. And that's 28 days. So that's a 1. So that's all we need, that 1 train. Now, we come down here for now. We can come down here and we need a new station. So we're going to put in a train station to start with here in Toledo. And we'll run it into that. We'll pick up the supplies. Okay. Run it back like so. Bribery's great. It makes all your buildings cheaper. Okay. All right. So that's a line for wood out of track 2, running full into here. That line that's a 1, so that's good. The 1 train is good for now. We'll give that repairs. And then I want to run, let's expand this station. Run a line like so. Picking up the supplies and running into track 2. And you notice our money is getting better. You can just sense that. I mean, we're not, the waiting is less. We are improving, and this is also helping us get that freight task done. Okay. Set our signals. Go up here. We'll set up a line coming out of track 2, running full into Toledo. And that will take 42, that's a 1. It's grain, so we'll give it an extra train for now, and that'll have to be bumped up a lot over time. Okay, conductor can go right here. And right here. Okay, now, yeah, our money's definitely starting to pick up a little bit. Are you getting anything? Yeah, he's getting a little bit of weaving, and we'd like to bump this up. What's it cost? 400? It would actually be worthwhile to bump this up and get more cotton going down there to the clothing, which would help Indianapolis grow. And would get us some more stuff there. We got our quarterly profit from freight. Good deal there. How'd we do? We did 639,000. Good deal. What do I want to bump up? I want to bump up this. And now let's double check something. We've got a demand now of 3.2 per week. And our delivery is 3 is not that high, so we're going to need another train up here. Okay. All right, so now now we can work on Indianapolis. So we want to get these two. Well, actually, that's not true. There's wood over here, and there's corn right here, and a connection bonus. Beautiful. The grain is a problem. We've only got the one spot. It's clumsy, so that we need the ability to come over here anyway, because we'd like to run grain even all the way down here. The logs do not have to come the circuitous route. Now we could, of course, run it like around like this or around like this. I am seeing 1 or 2 warehouses right here. When we get around to loading raw materials into Toledo, there's nice stuff right here that can go to a warehouse here, and probably a second warehouse even. Sorry, I got to think of how to do this. It's just the grain. It's just Indianapolis. Well, it's Indianapolis, and then we want to be able to also give it to Louisville. This is true. This is true. I'm afraid if I go like this, I'm going to mess up warehouses. So we could go, we're just going to jump over. I'm going to quit thinking quite so much and expand this. I'm actually going to give it repairs too. It's getting to be a busy place. All right, we're going to come out of track 3. Where we're going to go. And we're just going to go over everything like this. Pick up the supplies. Going to expand this station right here and run this into track 3. Yeah, track 3. Now we could, there would be nothing wrong with using that track. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, this is, dedicated lines are great, but this is overdoing it a little bit. There's nothing wrong with us going like this and connecting into this. There, we can even make it a reasonable, it's only a 5. Look at that, 131. That would come out of here, connect to this track, and run down here. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. We'll accept that, then we'll double track it. Here, 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 and here. Okay. Then we'll set signals. Get rid of this short block right here. Then down here, we want it to go into track 3. So what we're going to do here is put a line that connects like so. And double track that little piece right there. Now these see these have jumped because of they think that's the closer route. So what we're going to do is take all these trains right here, Grand Rapids to Indianapolis. We're going to give it a waypoint. When you come out of Indianapolis, give it a waypoint there. We're going to copy that. Then we're going to go Grand Rapids to Indianapolis and paste. And then we want the then the other one we want to paste would be, there's 2 more. These 2, we want to open them up and paste that other order in there and use those waypoints. Okay, so now we want to set up a line that comes out of here, comes out of track, what did I use? 3? Yes. Out of 3, running full. Comes down here and goes into Indianapolis track 3. And 92. So that would be 1. We'll give it a couple more trains, make sure we got something going down there. More passengers, sure, we'll take that. Okay, slow down. All right, now we've got grain running in there. Now we can think about setting up a warehouse and putting in corn and logs and sugar and whatever else. So, yeah, why don't we stop right there? That's probably a good place. We've got our basic 3-city cluster set up. We actually have Toledo and Grand Rapids growing. We're working on now getting raw materials into Indianapolis to really get it going, and we're looking pretty good there. We're using dedicated track pretty much as possible, sharing lines where it makes sense, but using dedicated stations and regular train stations, kind of the way I like to play. We've got one thing I'm not crazy about, this dairy up here, because running milk way up there, well, we want to give them milk anyway, so maybe that's all right too. Maybe we just come over here and swoop in and grab on that line and go down here and give them milk. I mean, why not? Yeah, I think we will. There's no reason to fight it. I don't mind if the computer owns the city business center cluster, as long as it's a good business, as long as it's one that's helping us grow. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. So, yeah, in the next episode, we'll keep growing that. We'll focus on Indianapolis, really getting it growing, because our next task coming up is this attraction in Indianapolis, and we've got to get that done. So we've got to get this thing. When we start seeing wheat come in here, see this? Then we're going, and then we'll have some logs. Then we'll start seeing growth here. And once we get to 40, we can bump that up, and that'll actually help the growth. And we can put another business in here that will help the growth. Maybe the sawmill will go here. Maybe, you know, the plans I had are going to change completely, but we'll come up with something. Or maybe even what I really would like, get these two, the fruit and the sugar, going in there and get a distillery in Indianapolis. So we'll we try that again. We will deal with all of that in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player. I hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe, and join us for our next Railway Empire video. Thank you.